kako, ina hoa makamaka, mai kalahiki, akalakau. Velina nui me ke aloha. Mahalo nui no ke ako ko ana no kako, no ka pono o ka lahui, no ka pono o ka aina, no ka pono o ka vai no hoi. Eia he olelo no iau e kalele ana I ke koʻikoʻi o ka vai. He olelo no iau pokole wale no. Vai apu lau ki. The olelo no iau for today is vai apu lau ki, water in a tea leaf cup. When one goes up Mauka and needs a cup to dip water from the stream or spring, they only need fold a tea leaf to form a dipper. It's a pleasant reminder that our ancestors had abundant water and that it was all safe to drink. Something that may not persist everywhere these days. So mahalo nui. Welcome to today's September 25th, 2023 regular meeting of the Honolulu Board of Water Supply. Before beginning today's meeting, I'd like to state that our board is dedicated to providing safe, dependable, and affordable supply of water now and into the future. At this time, we'd like to share a brief recording with reminders on public participation, as well as virtual meeting regulations for board members as required by law.
Materials for this meeting under HRS Section 92-7.5 are accessible at boardofwatersupply.com/board meetings. The public may attend this meeting in person at the BWS Public Service Building, located at 630 South Beretania Street. The public may also view a live stream of today's meeting on our website at boardofwatersupply.com/live. We have been accepting written or oral testimony for today's meeting. Instructions and an online submittal form are available at boardofwatersupply.com/testimony. The deadline to submit advanced written testimony has passed. Testimony received by noon today have been distributed to the board members. We will continue to accept written testimony today through our online form. Oral testimony in person or remotely will be accepted during today's meeting. To facilitate as much in-person and remote testimony as reasonably possible during the time allotted, pre-registration and submittal of a written version of testimony at boardofwatersupply.com/testimony is strongly encouraged. To testify in person, please register using our online form or come to the Public Service Building at 630 South Beretania Street. We have a representative in the lobby to provide intake and further instructions. To request to testify remotely, please complete the online form at boardofwatersupply.com/testimony. Requesters will receive an email containing links and instructions to join the Zoom session. Testifiers will have 2 minutes to state their position. A timekeeper will alert testifiers when there is 1 minute remaining. Once the 2 minutes are up, please summarize to allow time for questions from the board. Then, make room for the next testifier. Board members attending any board meeting remotely must be visible to the public to be considered present and meet quorum guidelines. Board members participating remotely must also disclose their location and anyone present at their location during roll call. Meeting participants who are calling or video conferencing in, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. If you have a question, comment, or wish to enter or second a motion on an action item, please unmute your microphone and identify yourself before continuing to speak. If you encounter technical issues during today's meeting, please use the Zoom chat to send a direct message to our support team. Their names are listed in the message to all participants. To open the chat window, please click on the text bubble icon on the Zoom toolbar.
All right, thank you. Let's take a moment to take a roll call vote of the board members. When I call your name, please say aye. And if attending remotely, make the appropriate disclosures. Vice Chair Sproat.
I'm appearing today from my home office where I'm alone and working with the door closed. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha. Board member Andaya.
Aloha, I'm present. I'm in my office in a conference room with the door closed, and I'm by myself.
Aloha. Board member Albano.
Present. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm in my office alone with the closed doors.
Aloha. In the boardroom with me today is board member Max Sword. Present. As well as board member Kaneshiro.
Present.
Also in the room with us today are manager Ernie Lau.
Aloha.
Deputy Manager Erwin Kawaka. Present. Joy Cruz Achu.
Hi.
Manager Secretary Kim Tuai. Information Specialist Stephen Nordstrom. Are Jeff and Jessica on the Zoom today?
Yes.
Okay. Joining us by Zoom are Jeff Lau and Jessica Wong, both from City and County Corp Counsel, as well as Information Specialist Wayne Maria. Oh, Wayne. We have two items on our action agenda today. Number one, approval of the minutes of the public hearing and regular meeting held on August 28th, 2023. Any discussion, additions? Hearing none. Do I hear a motion?
So
Moved by Board Member Sword. Oh,
I got it.
you got abstain. Anyone on Zoom want a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Albanos, for the second. Any discussion? Vice Chair.
Chair, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be abstaining from the vote because I was absent from this meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Noted for the record,
Me too.
as well as Board Member Kanashiro. I'll just make a note. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
thank you, Chair. Board Member Brandon Daya,
Hi.
Board Member Max Sword,
Aye.
Board Member Gino Hano,
Aye.
Chair Nali Anthony.
Aye.
Chair, motion passes with 4 ayes and 2 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. Please note for the record. Item number 2, adoption of resolution number 975, 2023, resolution of appreciation for Board Member Max Sword. Turning it over to Manager Lau.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to let you know that Max has informed us that today will be his last day serving on the board, and we just want to honor him and recognize his good work, and just thank him, a big mahalo for his service to the board, Board of Water Supply, and I can read the resolution if you would like, Chair. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whereas Max J. Sword has ably served as a at-large member of the Board of Water Supply since October 2018 and has recently notified the board of his resignation. Whereas as the owner of Max J. Sword and Associates, a firm specializing in government and community affairs, and as a hotel executive with the Outrigger Enterprises Group, where prior to retirement, he built a long and distinguished career in promoting outrigger hotels and resorts in Hawaii's visitor industry to the community, businesses, and government leaders. Mr. Sword's work and experience, coupled with the esteem of his colleagues, brought additional recognition and respect for the board. Whereas Max Sword's keen understanding of administrative and community matters and his service on various nonprofit and government boards and commissions have made him a valuable asset to this board and a helpful resource in its proceedings and deliberations, as he's provided useful insights and counsel to its members. Whereas a board member, Mr. Sword has volunteered his time and expertise to help support and adopt initiatives for programs that preserve and protect Oahu's precious water resources and affect business and policy decisions for the board that will impact the direction and operation of this department for many years to come. Whereas his service is a testament to his commitment to maintain a municipal water system deserving of the trust from the public it serves, and now therefore be it resolved by the members of the Board of Water Supply, City and County of Honolulu, that we do hereby express to Max J. Sword our deep appreciation and gratitude for his dedicated service to this board and department. And be it further resolved that the members of this board extend to Max J. Sword our sincere aloha and best wishes for continued success in all his future endeavors. And I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with Board Member Sword through the years and many long discussions about, potential for redevelopment of this property here at Bear Canyon Street. And good guidance over the years to help me and the department do a good job for our customers. So I just want to say thank you, Max. We're going to miss you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you, Max. Any discussion? Vice Chair Sproat?
I just wanted to add my voice to the chorus. Max, wow, we've been working together for about 5 years now, and it's been a pleasure to collaborate on so many different things, from really humongous issues like Red Hill to much smaller ones, but big or small, it's always been an honor, and I'm going to miss you as well. Aloha.
Max, just huge appreciation for your time here and your, in meetings, I've certainly learned a lot from you and especially your acute understanding of some of the more rigorous and challenging issues that have persisted. So really appreciate your perspective and thank you so much for your service.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Okay, moved by Board Member Kanashiro
Second?
and second by Vice Chair Sproat. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair. Vice Chair Sproat,
Aye.
Board Member Brian Anzaya,
Aye.
Board Member Jonathan Kanashiro,
Aye.
Board Member Gina Albano,
Aye.
Chair Nale Anthony.
Aye.
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 I'm still here.
Your last action.
Chair, motion passes with 6 ayes.
Thank you. Please note for the record, take a quick second for a lay-in picture. Okay. We're going to move on for items for information. We have 5 items today. And we have some written testimony as well. Do we want to enter that into the record now?
Your call, Chair, if you want to do it after.
We do this. Okay. So number 1 is the update on the Board of Water Supply's response to the potential impacts of the Red Hill fuel contamination. Chair recognizes Joyce Lin. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Board Chair and board members. Here's my update on Red Hill. Recent events on September 16th, selection meeting on the Red Hills Community Representation Initiative, or CRI group. They had a selection meeting where 10 members were finalized. The 10 members includes 2 impacted residents, 4 Oahu residents, 2 community based organizations, and 2 Native Hawaiians. In the coming weeks, the CRI members will convene to have their first meeting. And we also had our regular quarter meeting with the Navy Admirals. They informed us of their latest updates regarding defueling, in which they're currently meeting and working with the regulators, the EPA and DOH, to obtain final approvals for defueling. Manager Lau invited the Admirals and their team at the Joint Task Force and NAVFAC to be here in person next month at our board meeting to provide us a update on defueling and closure. This is just a week after the October 16th defueling, so it would be a very opportune time for them to be here and give us an update on the process. The Admirals accepted the invitation and has agreed to be here in person to provide us an update and answer any questions. On defueling, defueling is scheduled to start October 16th and tentatively finish by mid-January. Last month, the fuel pipelines were successfully repacked in preparation of defueling. The environmental assessment for Red Hill defueling and fuel relocation was also finalized. This means that once defueling starts, the Navy will proceed with commercial sales and relocation of the fuel to existing locations within the Department of Defense fuel supply chain by ship tankers. And this is the latest defueling dashboard. Joint Task Force is now focused on finalizing preparations for defueling. A defueling open house is scheduled for next Tuesday, October 3rd, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Ke'ihi Lagoon. Regarding closure, the Department of Defense announced that defueling and closing the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility will not impact military operation readiness in the Pacific areas. And the Navy's consultants, the Nakapuna company, is still working on compiling survey responses regarding non-fuel reuse. And it's anticipated that a final report on their findings will be released at the end of this year. Overall, the tank closure plan remains on track, tentatively closure by August 2027. Upcoming events. October is the highly anticipated month as defueling is scheduled to start on the 16th, which is in about 3 weeks to the date. There's a defueling open house scheduled for next Tuesday on the 3rd at Ke'ihi Lagoon from 4 to 6. And we will continue to have our regular meetings with the regulators and stakeholders of Red Hill in the coming months. And we will be updating the board and community on any defueling and closure developments. This is my update for today. Any questions?
Members, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So on the slide regarding closure of the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility,
Yes.
it says that the final closure method is pending Nakapuna company's survey on non-fuel reuse ideas.
Yes.
Is Nakapuna company, is that the vendor, or I guess the company that's charged with actually defueling, or are they a consultant, or?
The Nakapuna company is the Navy's consultant, so they're on contract to gather non-fuel reuse ideas from the community. So there's two parts to that survey collection of data. One was quantitative, so different ideas, and which they completed at the end of May. Now they're in the second portion of the survey where they're gathering the quality data. So after they had all the different types of ideas, they're trying to pinpoint which one is the best option for non-reuse. So they're finalizing that information right now.
Okay, thank you. And is our agency involved, or are they getting feedback from our agency, or is that just completely internal?
Board member Andaya, this is Ernie. They did come down and actually interviewed me on what I thought about the beneficial reuse options or options for closure. And so they did reach out to key stakeholders during the process. And the final decision on beneficial reuse will still be with the regulators, the Department of Health and the EPA on their approval of the final closure plan.
Okay, thanks. And then what is the timeline on the release of the survey results, I guess?
Joyce?
So from what I gathered, by the end of this year, maybe around November time, they'll be releasing a final report, kind of identifying what the best non-fuel reuse option is.
I see. And
So-
following the decision of the regulators, is it final, or is that something we're gonna ongoing discussion?
The decision or closure, I think, is with the regulators on what the final approved closure plan will be. And we don't have a timeline for that. We've heard that right now that we have, they've released a closure plan supplement 2, but we think there may be a supplement 3 coming. And then also depends on the decisions of the regulators. and what they finally will approve and when they're gonna do that. One
Okay.
thing to point out, if Joyce, I'm just gonna add, you can just stay right there.
Okay.
Is that what Joyce has shared, that around the middle of next month, they'll start to defuel. But they're gonna do this thing they call gravity defueling of the tanks. Basically, the fuel is in the tanks above at higher elevation and inland, about 3 miles inland. They're gonna open up the valves and allow fuel to flow by gravity down to tanker ships that'll pull up in Pearl Harbor. We'll take the fuel into those tanker ships. There'll still be a residual amount of fuel that they won't be able to gravity flow to Pearl Harbor. That'll still reside in there. And the estimates, as low as maybe 100,000 gallons of fuel and sludge, up to maybe 400,000 gallons. I think the Navy's trying to refine their estimates, and they've told us it might be on the lower end of the scale, but we haven't seen anything officially yet. But good questions. I would say keep a list of your questions, and we have invited and they have accepted the invitation to appear and present to this board at next month's board meeting.
And that the kind of the nature of that discussion is centered around this defueling and kind of how they're doing, checking in about a week in from when they would have started.
Yeah, I think part of it's gonna be on defueling, which is the responsibility of the Joint Task Force. And hopefully by then, they'll have started that process and report on how many gallons are removed from Red Hill.
Mhm.
But also the tank closure, what they're thinking about. But I also want to mention to them, even after they take the fuel out of the tanks and pipelines at Red Hill, there is still the releases that have occurred over the last 80 years that this facility has been in operation.
Mhm.
And what is going to be done to investigate where that might be located underground or in the aquifer, how it could be cleaned up. And that's the whole issue of remediation cleanup.
Okay. Have they started the discussion on that process? Have you guys talked to them about that in your meetings?
We've had some discussions, but primarily it's been focused on the defueling as the immediate action. There are discussions going on with the EPA and Department of Health. The Red Hill Remediation Roundtable, I think, is where the discussions have been occurring.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Okay.
You said that there's this, the second, you said something, there might be a third
Another revision to the closure.
revision of the code.
Called
So
supplement
so it
3.
might go beyond August 27th,
We don't know.
maybe.
We don't know at this point until we see
Yeah.
what they submitted.
Okay. Something to keep in mind.
We have, always continue to remind the Navy and Department of Defense, get the fuel out of there as soon as possible, every drop. So after you finish gravity refueling, get the balance that's there out of there as soon as possible.
So the important one is, January of next year.
That's to take the bulk of the fuel out.
Yeah. Okay.
There's still, after they defuel the sludge and the leftovers, still several 100,000 gallons worth of fuel.
Yeah, their estimate, I think, in their closure plan was 100,000 to 400,000 gallons potentially.
Oh,
That might still be
It's still a lot, yeah.
in pipes, or they're gonna drain the bottoms of the tanks as much as they can get out of there. But there may be some still left in parts of the pipeline.
Still plenty of pressure there to get that right.
Yeah, I think they're trying their best, and like I was interviewed by a reporter from the Hawaii Public Radio this morning, and I think right now it's important to remember the Joint Task Force in our prayers, that they do a really good job and there are no mishaps, and then they work efficiently and quickly.
I would agree. Thank you, Ernie.
Need Campo's help.
Further discussion? Thank you, Joyce. Appreciate your time. Madam Secretary, do we have any written testimony for this topic?
Yes, Chair, there is 2 written testimony and it's been distributed.
Turning it over to manager to summarize.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Anthony. There's 2 testimonies received. I'll go over the first one is received by Ann Wright. And she referred us to the editorial that came out in today's editorial section of the Star Advertiser about the cost to the community and Navy should pay for the Red Hill mess. It is her opinion that we have gone out publicly with our proposed water rate increases for the next 5.5 years, and she feels that the Navy should be paying for those rate increases and rather than the residents of the law. She appreciates what we're doing, and she implores us to demand the DOD reimbursement for costs incurred already in dealing with the Red Hill toxic contamination of our water supply and for the water rate increase we're proposing. And that's from Ann Wright, who's been very active and supportive of the defueling and closure of the Red Hill facility for a number of years. Second testimony was received from Pete Doctor. He lives in the Mauna Loa area. He appreciates our efforts to secure our precious life-giving water for current and future generations. They understand the need for periodic rate increases to adjust inflation and for investments in the integrity of a safe water distributions and reserves system. However, the firmly oppose paying any costs borne by agencies of the DOD due to the operation of the impacts on our water system, our water. That's the Red Hill facility I think he's referring to. He feels that really it should be the US Navy and the Department of Defense paying for the cost of what we're doing now to address the Red Hill situation. And I'll just ask a quote from his testimony. Again, mahalo piha, BWS, we are counting on you to defend our water from the military and any threats to our water, be it commercial, governmental or otherwise. You are the first line, our first line of defense for our ohana. And that's from Pete Doctor from the Mauna Loa area.
Thank you, Ernie. And Ann Wright, she's a Army vet, correct?
I think she's a retired US Army colonel.
Okay.
So she fully understands, I think, how the military system works.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's any other phone testimony or email testimony.
Any in person?
No, Chair.
Virtual?
No.
No, Chair, there's no in person or virtual
Okay.
testimony.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. We're gonna move on to information item number 2. Go ahead. Sorry.
Was there testimony provided? The actual testimonies provided to us?
Checking the staff to see if they got emailed over as well. They just ran in right before the meeting started with the paper copies.
Okay, no
I'm
problem.
sure they get sent over to you guys as well.
Whenever.
Okay. Joy,
I'm doing that right now.
thank you so much, Joy. Appreciate it. Moving on, information item number 2, draft Board of Water Supply report to the board by the permitted interaction group on the role of the Board of Water Supply rate study process. Board recognizes Joe Cooper.
Good afternoon, Chair, board members. On July 17th and September 6th of this year, the Permitted Interaction Group met with the Board of Water Supply senior management to determine the roles of the board in the water rate study process. This is the report of the Permitted Interaction Group. And we're submitting this report to you and making it public notice. Discussions will be held at the next board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
discussion?
Yeah, I have a quick question. I'd ask a question about farmers,
About what?
farmers.
Farmers. You can ask.
Any new farmers that, because that was part of the, I'd ask that information, just a matter of information.
Yes.
Farmers at the last meeting.
I haven't gotten that answer for you yet, Master.
Okay.
Working on it.
Right, that's all.
Okay. Okay, and we would like to thank the permitted members of the permitted interaction group for their work on this process. Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
So I guess this report here, given that there's still time for feedback, is this report going to be final for us, the one last and final report, or do we submit a further report after feedback is all received?
I think Brian, that's a good question. I think the process, and maybe we can ask your, the board's attorney, Jessica Wong. The report is usually submitted in advance, 1 month or one meeting in advance for the discussion to occur. Actually, not this month, but next month. But Jessica, could you assist in providing a response to Brian's question?
Yeah, usually the report is given and then the discussion occurs.
And I believe what we did, the draft report was circulated to all the members of the permitted interaction group in advance of today. That the members are actually Max Sword, will be leaving us, and then Brian and also Jonathan.
I'm sorry, what was the question associated with that?
I guess Brian's question was whether or not the reports that's submitted today, if it could be amended or updated prior to the next meeting of the board in October. Or if it's in final form as of today.
I would need to check on that. Usually a report is submitted and then it's discussed at the following meeting and then any action is voted upon. I guess you could do an amended report and then wait another meeting to discuss and vote on it as well.
November, December then.
Yeah, I wouldn't, sorry, I was just asking, I'm fine with the report as is. I definitely don't want to delay anything. I just thought that maybe there would be some exhibits that would be included, graphs and exactly how much the rates were going to go up and, things like that. But I'm fine with it the way it is, if it's okay with the rest of the board, I suppose. But I definitely don't want to delay and put off what we had planned to do in October.
Vice Chair.
I have a question for Jessica. Jessica, I'm just wondering why, to the degree, I mean, I understand that it needs to be circulated, but couldn't it be circulated after the meeting and posted and made available? I mean, I'm just wondering whether this is our internal board procedure or whether there are sunshine issues.
Well, the materials need to be able to be viewed and considered by the public. So yeah, as long as it's posted in advance of the next board meeting and there is sufficient time, I believe that is the standard. Again, but again, I'd have to double check that.
And that's why I was asking, because my understanding is usually that if something is agendized and any submittals are posted within the necessary period, which I believe is 6 days, and that's done in advance of the next meeting, it should be sufficient for Chapter 92 purposes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll double check that.
Yeah, Jessica, let us know too on the process, the proper process.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess I will let the board secretary know the answer and she can pass it along as appropriate.
That'll be great.
Okay.
Board Member Concho.
I'm just curious. I don't know if Brian is asking about the materials that were presented to the community meetings and all those diagrams and figures and great images. Is that what you're referring to, Brian? Yeah, would that be included?
It's actually on our website.
Okay.
At boardofwatersupply.com. The presentations we've taken out to the community, the PowerPoints are all there.
Okay,
It's,
but as far as like putting action on the proposed rates and things for next session with other
So,
members?
so the process of it, so this is the permitted interaction group that was created to provide input and to the whole rate proposal process. So when something goes out to the community, and at the next board meeting is probably when we would seek from the board approval to maybe proceed with authorizing a public hearing to be held in November. And in that public hearing notice, what we do is we publish the whole draft proposed water rates.
Which should be inclusive of okay.
Like taking all that information, if the board feels comfortable to now go to public hearing. That'll also allow for opportunity for public comment and public, feedback on the rates. And then after that, the board can decide whether to proceed to adopt or seek to amend the proposal based on public input. But the idea is that the public notice, which we would seek authorization from the board next month to actually publish the notice of the draft proposed rates.
Okay, so it's an approval to continue forward with
In the process.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And that was, you need at least a month, right, of lead time.
We're trying to be
30
very
days.
conservative, allow for 30 days, not counting the day of the board's action.
Right. Which is why we needed we were counting days the other day, right? October to November
Yeah,
gives
right.
us more than 30 days.
And our plan is to actually publish the public notice twice, not just once. So a Friday and a Sunday. So the days that we feel that it'll cover the most people that might be reading the newspaper. It'll be in the Star Advertiser.
Okay, that clarifies to me. I'm not sure if Brian, that clarifies for you.
It does. It does. Maybe again, definitely don't want to delay anything. Maybe just reference in this report, just reference the materials on the website and whatnot.
Yeah. What we can do is, at the next meeting, just say that, the proposal. But I just want to inform you, because we've been telling the community as we go out, the proposal is on our website at boardofwatersupply.com.
Thank you, Ernie.
You're welcome.
So after we get feedback from Jessica on exactly how we can handle this, we'll communicate that with the board members and move forward with the discussion.
Any other questions for Joe or Ernie?
I just, following up on Brian's thing. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I think at the big meeting, what went out to the public is what the three members agreed to. Is that true?
I'm sorry, I missed that meeting.
Then can you make an amendment to this report to reflect that? Because it's not in here.
Yeah, so that's the question that we've asked Jessica to kind of give us some guidance, that if we can make the amendment based on feedback today to the report and actually make sure we notice it publicly to everybody so that.
No, this amendment to this report reflecting that what went out to the public hearing was what we had discussed, the three members had agreed on.
Okay, I think that'll be fine.
That's all,
Yeah.
Okay.
just to reflect that.
Hey, it's Jessica here. I was looking at the guidance from OIP online, and it says that the report has to be presented at the second meeting of the full board. So it has to be not only posted, it needs to be presented again if you're going to amend it.
Oh.
And you
Okay.
cannot discuss or act on the report at that meeting. You'd have to wait until the following meeting to discuss or act on the amended report.
So Jessica, can we just leave the report as is and then just make sure at the next meeting to reference all of the material, the diagrams and rate schedules and all that?
You should discuss those materials during the presentation of the report
Next month
or
or today?
today. Today, if you're going to reference it, you should reference it today.
Jeff,
So is referencing the report making a modification to it, or we're just adding references? And I mean, if you go to the homepage of the Board of Water Supply, there's a link on the homepage that says, I just went to it. It says draft proposed water rates. You click on that, there's a whole list of it, and there's a link right below the proposed schedule. It says community meeting presentation. So it's pretty accessible.
Pretty out there, but one thing to keep in mind, board, that the use of a permitted interaction group is not mandatory to this process of doing rate proposals. Because we are going to have a separate item on the agenda for action of the board to authorize a public hearing on the proposed water rates. And during that presentation, that will provide a complete presentation of the proposed water rates that we're seeking the board's approval to authorize us to move forward to publish the public hearing notice and to hold the public hearing at least 30 days from that point. So the permitted interaction group report is helpful, but it's not essential to this process. So the report is that you have before you was circulated among all members of the permitted interaction group for comment prior to today's meeting. So I think the key thing is going to be the authorization of a public hearing and what the actual rate proposal that is going to be shared with the board based on feedback from this permitted interaction group and the board's decision to authorize to move forward to hold a public hearing on that rate proposal. So I know it's a little confusing, but
Yeah, it's confusing to me because all I'm saying is that this report is incorrect. In other words, without that, it's not stating any rate in numbers. I'm not talking about numbers. It says, all I'm saying is that the PIG agreed that with the staff that what went out to the public hearing is what we discussed and approved in the PIG.
okay. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. To me, that means that this report is incomplete.
Hi, Jessica here again. Sorry. Also, sorry, I made a mistake. You can't it after the PIG makes its report to the board. The PIG is dissolved, so theoretically you cannot amend the report. So if you want to amend it,
but what if the report is incorrect because it does not state in here what we discussed and what we agreed to send out?
then I would stop the discussion or the presentation, not discussion, presentation, and defer it to the next meeting.
Yeah, and then the PIG report could be refined or revised to the way that and it's the permitted interaction group's report, not the department's report. But
right,
we assist in drafting it for you, but then it would just be out of sequence in terms of that.
Well, everything pushes the button.
Well, we're hoping not to push the decision too long, but it'll be ultimately the decision of the board. Our preference is to.
Mr. Chair, just so we don't drag this out anymore, go ahead and vote on it. I just want.
Well, this is just for information, so there's no vote.
Well,
This is just an information item today, right? There's no board action.
vote then.
There's no board action needed. Vice Chair Sproat, give your hand up.
I do. So, just to clarify, my understanding is that this is a report of the permitted interaction group, which will dissolve after this. And although the PowerPoints are not appended to the report, they're available to the public on the website. But as Ernie referenced, in the official presentation to the board, which would be an action item, that material could be incorporated and specifically referenced, correct?
It will be incorporated.
Right.
In every detail.
Right, so I'm just wondering, to the degree that there's a concern about delaying, and of course, we don't want to approve it if it's incorrect, but if the concern is about not having, with the material not being included and available for the public, that might be resolved in the next presentation. So I just wanted to highlight that for folks.
Thank you, Kapua. And there's no board action today. This is
No,
just
this is information.
yeah. Thanks. Anything else? We're good? Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to information item number 3. Invitation to Imagine a Day Without Water event, October 21, 2023. Chair recognizes Arthur Ayu. Good afternoon, Arthur. How are you?
Fine. Aloha wina lai ka luna ho o malu Anthony a me na luna hano hano o ka papa oi hana vai. Aloha mai kako.
Aloha.
So good afternoon, Chair Anthony and distinguished members of the Board of Water Supply. Greetings. So on behalf of Manager and Chief Engineer Ernie Lau, we would like to invite you, your families, and the general public to attend this year's Imagine a Day Without Water event that's scheduled for Saturday, October 21st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Wahiawa Freshwater State Recreation Area. That's actually situated at 380 Walker Avenue in Wahiawa. This free community affair marks the 4th annual observance of the concept of One Water Hawaii, which integrates the types of water available: drinking water, wastewater, storm water, fresh water, and seawater, and our collective responsibility to protect, preserve, and improve these waters in our built and natural environments. There are almost 20 state and county agencies, community organizations, schools, and volunteer groups which are partnering together to host this activity that day. Board of Water Supply will be promoting water conservation with our rain barrel and xeriscape workshops. The State Department of Land and Natural Resources will provide major support from their Commission on Water Resource Management, Aquatic Resources, and along with Forestry and Wildlife Divisions. The City and County of Honolulu participation will include the Departments of Facility Maintenance and Environmental Services, along with the Mayor's Resilience Office. There is also a representative from the Hawaii County Department of Water. We have a number of activities that we are planning to host that day that will include hopefully improving stream and lake waters out there at Wahiawa, a Malama Aina cleanup, and native plant seed ball making, which will also include distribution in the park area. And we are looking for a fun-filled day. I want to also note that some of those community groups that will be sharing the day with us will be both mountain watershed partnerships from the Ko'olau and Waianae. We will also have the Oahu Invasive Species Committee, our Oahu Water Protectors, Sierra Club, UH College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources, as well as Sustainable Coastlines Hawaii. And joining the state also will be the Climate Commission. So an invitation to each and every one of you to come and join us for the day.
Thank you, Arthur.
Mahalo.
Any questions? None. Arthur, you're off the hook. Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 4, status update of groundwater levels at all index stations are different. Barry Usagawa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Unfortunately, I can't open like Arthur, but we only have 8. Well, we have 8 aquifer index stations in low groundwater status as of August. Beretania, Moanalua, Pearl City, Waipahu, Kaluanui, and Wailua are in caution status, and Kaimuki and Punalu are in alert status. The monthly production for August, and I apologize, it should be August there instead of July, is about 149 million gallons per day. The rainfall for August is 38% of normal, so in a drying period. The 5-month moving average is 91%. The National Weather Service is still forecasting below normal precipitation through March of 2024. And most monitoring wells are exhibiting decreasing head levels, which is typical for this time of year, hot and dry. You can see August is 38%, so kind of decreasing into the wet season as I think National Weather Service is forecasting. And then in the production, we are just under 149 is just under the 5-month moving average and the pumpage that we had last year in August. And that's my report. If there's any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barry. All right, moving on to item number 5, water main repair report for August 2023. Chair recognizes Jason Nakaido. Hello, Jason.
Thank you, Board Chair and board members. The following is the water main repair report for August 2023. August was a particularly busy month for us. We had 50 main breaks, which is a little higher than normal, but not still below the all-time high. That brings us to a total of 77 main breaks this fiscal year so far. Here's a list of the 50. There was one large diameter main break on a 30-inch that was due to contractor damage. For leak detection, our leak detection team investigated 47 points of interest and found 68 leaks. So for the year, they are at 116 leaks found to date. And of the 50 main breaks, 14 of them were identified by our satellite leak detection technology.
This is still the old data set or the new data set?
It is a new data set.
New
So
data
I think that's why they're kind of finding more leaks now.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Maybe just a comment. In previous large diameter main breaks, people brought in show and tell cutaways from the pipe and stuff. Encouraged to do so as needed. Really give us good examples of what not to do when.
Chair, it could be a little heavy.
Yeah. It was the metal plate that came through that one time was impressive. So.
Can do.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. So I think that brings us to the end of our regular board meeting. I believe I need a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Second. It's moved by Max Sword and seconded by board member Kaneshiro. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you very much.
Max, that was your last official action. As a board member.